Dan, how did we get from the critical uncertainties to the candidate sets?
So the uncertainties that we've been dealing with were gathered from research and interviews and other places, and we collected a pile, literally. And if you look at the slides associated with this video, you'll see a pile of words that kind of look like things out of a magnetic poetry set, all stacked on top of each other. And what we were doing was identifying the candidate uncertainties, the things that we thought were critical and uncertain to the future of learning in 2030. And then we went through a voting process. And in this process, we used an online instrument to prioritize and vote on what the candidates were going to be. If we were doing this in a workshop session, we might have a giant foam core board. And that's how I've kind of represented it here, is that we have some stickers. Everybody gets 10 stickers. And you're able to prioritize and kind of weight your votes by saying, I'm going to apply up to 5 of my stickers to any one uncertainty. And I can distribute my 10 stickers however I want to. And so if you're thinking about this big wall full of all of these words, you're going up and you're reading them, and you're going, I think that one's important and uncertain, and I'm going to put a sticker on it. But I really think that this one is more important than that one, so I'll put a couple more stickers on that one. And so kind of weighting these. And that gives you eventually the set that is the most critical and most uncertain. At that point, you take that list, those things that are voted on and win the voting, and you start overlaying them on top of each other. And you create a set of matrices that are candidates. And so what you want are matrices that come out of this that are plausible. That's kind of the first test. If I look at these stories that come out of this overlay, are they believable? Can I imagine that future might happen? And one of the things that I caution people about all the time is that you can't use magic and you can't break the laws of physics. So these have to be plausible stories within kind of a future historical context. I can imagine them happening, and I don't have to break the laws of physics, don't have to apply magic for that to happen. And then you say, are they really aligned with the focal question? And they should be, because that's where the uncertainties are. But sometimes you find that there are uncertainties that are so broad that you might end up with stories that don't necessarily align really well with a question like, what's the future of learning in 2030? So you might discard those. And eventually you end up with a set that is plausible, it's believable, you can imagine good divergent stories out of it. It forces you to very different places. They make you uncomfortable to some degree, because if you're comfortable in all the futures, then you probably haven't stretched yourself very far. And eventually you get to the point that you have 3 to 5, ideally, candidate scenarios, which is probably what you're going to be voting on. There will be a set of scenarios that will come up, and you'll be asked, with these sketches of what these futures look like, which one would you select as the one that we build out, right? From the standpoint of selecting those 3 or 5, you want at some point to basically have the people who are making that selection, either the individual consultant or the team, get to the point that they don't really care which one wins, that they're all good enough. And in scenario planning, there's, rather than being a quantitative thing where there's a right answer, good enough is literally good enough, right? If it's plausible and believable and it stretches your imagination, you don't want to get too tied to any one scenario too early, because you want the team to actually bring in the one that resonates most with them and that they can then play with going forward.